I was asked to do, a couple of reminiscence about David, things that I remember. I guess the first thing that really comes to mind about David is that he was the kindest, most giving person I have ever met. And I know that sounds like an exaggeration, but it's really not. He came to Georgia State University where I was doing my undergrad, and he was, doing a residency there. And I had a chance to have a couple of lessons with him. And, I felt a strong connection. I liked the way he worked, and I had already heard and performed some of his music, and I really liked the way that he approached composition and especially the wind ensemble. And so I went to Thomas Wubenhorst, who was our wind ensemble conductor, and I asked, if I could get David's number. And I remember I called David at his home in Montana, and I said, I would like to come and study with you. And David said, okay, well, how long were you thinking? And I was like, I don't know, it's your time. I really feel that's up to you. And so we set a parameter of 3, 1 hour composition lessons. And I went out to Montana, and we ended up spending 5 days together, 8 hours a day. He welcomed me into his home and into his family, and that began the start of a 20-year mentorship and close friendship. He was someone who championed me and my music in ways that I never could have, no one else could have. He always believed in me, and that was phenomenal. It was more than I could have asked for. It was certainly more than I ever could have expected. There was no reason, there was no obligation for him to do any of this. He just did it. And that, I guess, is what impressed me the most. The funny thing about that story, where I went out to Montana the first time is I took a few $100s in cash with me because I didn't know what he would charge me for his time. He never asked to be paid. He never asked for anything. After my first trip out there, that was the only trip I stayed in a hotel. I went out numerous times over the course of 20 years, probably just about every summer. And I would stay in his house like every summer, and he would feed me, and we would talk music, and he never asked for anything in return. It was just amazing to me. And that really showed me, the thing that he showed me was that you can make an impact on a society, on a person, on an individual, on an art form, simply by being kind. David really modeled for me the enormous power of simple human kindness. And that's really what, more than anything else, that's really what I reflect on. Obviously there were, all of the technique and the, lessons about orchestration and ways to write music, ways to organize different pieces. But what really stays with me is just the model of kindness and generosity that he presented, not as something not as a performance he was doing when he was, working with an ensemble, not as some kind of motivational speaker, but as simply the way he lived his life on a day-to-day basis. He was completely genuine and completely honest. And those are the things that stay with me, is that sense of, you can make a difference. You can impact others simply by being kind. So, thank you.